So we sent our son off to college, and he came home with schizophrenia.
Now our family's searching for the cure.
But in the meantime, this is how we're functioning.
I want to talk about what can happen. Father, mother, creator.
Welcome back to We Are Functioning, everyone. Today's podcast is brought to you by GTS, the End User Experts, and One Gun Entertainment. I appreciate you coming back. How you doing today, honey babe?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Lovey?
Good.
Wendy.
So glad to always have my honey babe with me. Super
Good
awesome.
to be here. Good to be here.
Well, today what we wanted to do is kind of continue on our personal journey. We talked a lot about, the early stages of what we were up against. And when you think about it, we got our diagnosis finally. We got our traditional meds. We tried that, and even have tried our hand at the orthomolecular medicine, which is really just a fancy new way of saying functional medicine for those of you guys that are thinking about that. But guess what? We still hadn't found the cure yet. And what did you notice once we were doing, it did change our lives though. It was still life changing, all of those pieces, right? We were eating well. We found a way to exercise. We were trying to become nutritarians, if you will, trying to really figure out how nutrition impacted, our whole body experience. And then you said one day...
What did I say?
About who was taking the vitamins.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's go back. This all started by us doing a podcast because we're putting our life of having a family member live with schizophrenia, right? We're putting that out so that other people will put theirs out in the open and join and share with us. And just, we know that the world needs to figure out how to deal with this, right? And maybe we are that small connection that's giving them a little piece of hope, or just giving them something to watch and listen and maybe share with their particular family members.
Are you trying to inspire him, honey babe?
I'm trying to inspire.
He's so good at that.
All we have to do is just take this a little bit higher, and we will achieve this goal together of what? Some type of healing for the mentally ill, right? Mental illness.
Well, we want a cure for schizophrenia. I'm going to keep calling that out specifically.
Want a cure.
We all need healing.
We do want a cure.
We need a cure for schizophrenia.
Yep. So it started out with our son, and there was actually a brief period where, he did some programs, but he lived with us for a little while. And you talked about it in the beginning where we started taking kind of the, non-traditional medications or herbs. I call them herbs. And, even down to a multivitamin, right? And we noticed one day that, we seem to be taking all of ours, but he's not taking his. No, being an adult, you can't force him, right?
Right.
You can't force him to do it.
And then you're wondering who's healing who here?
Yeah.
Are we being healed? Or that's true. And again, do I think that in many ways it did heal us? Yeah. And have we still become the family that understands the impact of nutrition and movement and all of that, and how it's helped our family for sure.
Yep. Doing our best to eat right, keep our bodies in shape as much as we can, especially as we get older, and also keeping our mind in shape. Yeah. And we want to talk about today, the power of the mind, which would interject or cross-sect with meditation. Those two kind of go hand in hand, right? The powerful things you can do with your mind while in meditation. These things are just amazing. And if you, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, it's still different for everybody. And it's still, it can be different every single time. So you don't know what you're going to fall into when you get into the gap. Yeah, man.
You got it. And who taught
us
about
open
the
void.
Gap? Yeah.
Who taught us about the gap? Well, there was a little, was it considered a podcast or just some type of download? It was Oprah.
Yeah. So
Oprah
started offering the 21-day meditation with with Deepok. If you guys have not been a part of these 21 meditation day 20, they were amazing and they were free, right? And it was just a collaboration between those two. And once again, Oprah, she's also very inspiring, and she's, she's taken us on her journey of healing and wellness. And so thank you, Oprah. We appreciate that. And really, it did open up this whole kind of conversation around, what is in this gap? Can we heal ourselves through meditation? And so you guys know, for me, I'm all things brain, right? So when anytime anybody talks about the brain, I'm in. I'm, going down the rabbit hole and figuring out what can happen. Now, you've already had an experience with meditation. That was not new to you.
Yeah, well, I was, when I was little, we played sports. My dad was actually the coach of the team, and he got us into exercise, right? And then as I played sports, he was basically our coach, mine and my brother's coach through our little league activities back in the day. And at some point in time, you get into this, a lot of kids get into this self-defense awareness, right? Either you're aware of it, you imitate it, or you go and you literally take it. So that's when I got into, I think the first thing I got into was, it was judo.
Oh, judo.
That was judo. Yep. Yeah. I was a young judo champion very early in my age category. And I just went into everything: taekwondo, aikido, and then still to this day, I'm studying tai chi, which is really good as you get older. Good for the mind, body, and soul. But I started meditating in martial arts because they have these quiet times. At least in every class that I took, there was always this quiet time that we just meditated. And it's funny because it escalates from what you do then to. It's kind of like how we saw our son start the way he started, as I guess maybe he was siphoning from what we were doing, or, his process started really loose. And that's how it starts when you're young in martial arts, right? Yeah, right? And now I've got a whole different process.
But it started out, so like, would your, what do they call it? Like, a coach, or who's leading the meditation? Okay, so did they lead meditation as part of jiu-jitsu?
They didn't lead it as I would remember someone leading it, like in a traditional meditation class.
Got it.
Because sometimes you can get into these where they talk a little too much, and you really want the talk to stop, but the talk is part of the instruction, so it kind of goes hand in hand until you get to know the routine. But I don't remember the focus of it back then, or even understanding, at some point, right away, it's like, why are we doing this now? I'm ready to be in here, mixing it up. I'm taking a martial arts class. My dad's paying for this. It's like, man, I got to show some, some improvement. I got to be able to bring something back home, man, and show the people.
Right.
So, yeah. So I was more into that than, why are we doing this? But, continue to do it. Every time I got into another style of martial arts, we would do the same thing.
Yeah, so you went to judo with the thought of, I got to learn how to fight, and he was kind of giving you that Miyagi, right? Trying to teach you how to control your mind and your thoughts.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so and how long did it stay with you? Because you were teaching me to meditate.
It stayed forever, as being a traveling musician on the road, in situations, you had to go, sometimes you just had to have that quiet time. And I think that's when I tried to incorporate, what I learned about meditation, but just having some quiet time. It went from meditation to, this is my quiet time. This is something you do. Like now they show it on TV, right? You'd be watching your favorite program and it's like, it's time for a quiet moment.
Yes. Calm.
And it's like, no, let me flip to another channel. But then no, sometimes I just take it, But that's how we did it. So I was relating to that. I was relating that to how our son started out, which was, you saw the hands up in the air?
Yeah. Very Miyagi style.
And first of all, I have to admit now, the first time we meditated with him, I did meditate with kind of like one eye a little bit open. So I look up and I see he's got his hands in the air like this. so I'm watching that. I'm like, eventually the arm should get tired. This is all about relaxation. And next thing you know, he gets up, he's walking around, he's making noises. He breathes hard sometimes. So it's like, and at the same time, imagine having one eye closed, but this eye is really like, I don't have that 360 like the gecko, but
right.
I wish I did.
Well, you know what? I think, gosh, what we're really describing here is that how do you meditate? Right? How do you learn to meditate? Who teaches you how to meditate? Who teaches you why to meditate? And again, tipping my hat to Oprah. Honestly, I didn't know how to meditate. And actually, those 21-day meditations that they did early on were really, really. So if you guys have not seen them, I'm sure they're out there. Google them. Actually, I'll do it for you. I'll do some work for you.
How did you even find those?
So back to these messages, from the creator, right? From, hey, you should be doing this. To and it must be in my incessant Googling all things brain. So then, of course, the algorithm comes back and tells me everything about brain. So I probably learned about it from there, and I think really life changing. And then from there, I think I did a 25 different ways to meditate class through the community center. That was epic. Learning that with even meditation, that there's many ways to meditate, like one through drumming, right?
Yeah.
You can meditate on fire, which if anybody knows us, we'd love to have a fire. Like that's our favorite thing to do, right? That you can literally meditate on a flame. There's all these different ways to meditate. Everybody always thinks about meditation in that traditional close your eyes and put your hands up, like our son was doing.
I even considered our brief stint with the sweat lodge, with the Native Americans as a type of meditation, and going from that heat to people talk about like high yoga, high meditation. I wouldn't suggest it while you're drinking or drunk, but people have a lot of different ways to meditate. Now, how did you discover that Oprah and Deepok joint venture? Then we got to talk about going to the event.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, really, I'll talk about how that event came up. But really, I think it was spun off from that 25 different ways to meditate. Just this idea of, and probably that there's a larger conversation going on as we're trying to determine really how to heal ourselves, right? Because we know that traditional medicine or traditional food, sometimes comes with side effects. So we're trying to find that healing within, I think, a little bit. And so and you were always really good at that early on, like you said, that quiet time, and so I'm sure were very inspiring around that.
Oh yeah, well, and again, a lot of my inspiration came from watching these martial art movies. So you've had the Buddhist monks that would meditate, and they seem like the stars of the movie. Like if you saw a monk, you always thought, oh, they're eventually gonna win this one. But it was seeing that. And a lot of times you don't always, correlate the movies to real life. But remember, a movie is imitating sometimes outside of, fantasy and all that stuff. But it's imitating real life and just kind of taking it to a more entertaining level so that, if you really sat down and watched somebody's life, it might be boring. But when you see all the action pieces to it, it becomes a pretty good movie to watch. So. Yeah, that was just taking it in pieces. Yeah,
and that was probably, part of my early motivation is that, again, no stone unturned. And, when you realize that, okay, here in the U.S., we, and we're only a 200-year-old country. What is it? 200 years or so.
Don't quote me on that.
I know, right?
I am not going into those words.
Here goes my public education again, but... So it's so about 200 years old. So, for me, I'm thinking, there's got to be a better answer. Maybe it's global. And what you just said about, kind of the monks or Buddhism, and I know that's a new concept here in the U.S. And so, newer, concept. But the bottom line is that I just wanted to understand if there's another option out there. And so when the Seduction of Spirit workshop came up, where Deepok Chopra is basically bringing some of the greatest minds in healing, into a room and, talking about healing, we wanted to be there for sure. So
now that was before the Oprah 21 Days.
nope, Oprah 21
Same
Days
time?
kind of led us to there.
Okay.
Yep. And so, once
Are you
again,
saying I should know this?
well, you know it. You just don't know the order of it.
I just forgot. Okay.
He just goes with me.
Okay.
He's just a
I feel
good
like,
honey
I feel like
babe.
we went there and
We
then
did go
dove
there.
into it
well,
a little
and
more.
but it might have been. You're right. It might have been that after we came back, they may have continued some of this work.
Right, we got into it a little more.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
you're
and the
probably right.
process. Well, you talk about the process, but man, they had a strict kind of regime, somewhat, right?
Yeah. So if you've never been to a Deepok Chopra event, you're getting in there, right? They've got a process and they've got you dialed in. So think about it like this, guys. We're wondering, is it meditation? Can that heal? And we went there, and what did we do? Like 5 to 6 hours a day of meditation, bookended with yoga in the morning, yoga in the afternoon, and then really just listening to these
And the
amazing
healthy
healers.
meals that they would put together, these really
Yeah.
non-traditional healthy meals. You know, some good, some okay,
Yeah.
but
I think
you find what you like there. You'll find something that you like there.
Yeah, it's called the Ayurvedic diet, I think. Is how
Ayurvedic.
Ayurvedic,
Oh,
yeah.
don't quote me on that.
But
Getting this stuff right, man.
I know, right? All these fancy
Look it up.
terms.
No.
But no, we'll share with you for sure as
Yeah.
part of this. Because back to, is any of this stuff wrong? No. And we hear about this idea of meditation, and I know for my Christian friends, they might be like, hey, Wendy, you went out there, and my Midwest friends too, like, you went out west and you got a bunch of, now you're going on some weird thing where you think God is a tree. I kind of do, think that
Well.
there's some spirituality in trees, but we won't
Tree
talk
looks
about
like the
that.
brain.
I mean, but the idea is where's the healing? And I think in a lot of ways, we do look to traditional medicine for that healing. And so, yeah, for us, we wanted to know, were there answers, deeper in the mind? Can the mind do work about it? And actually, Deepok, and I'll share with you, did a really great book actually about the brain, and he was at, I think, the forefront of some of this idea that the brain can change and heal itself, and we know that now. Before, we used to think that the brain was a static tool that you're stuck with the brain you got, and that's what it is. But now we know that the brain has ways to design and heal itself. So anyways, that's kind of what started us down this path, right, to Deepok. And we learned all about the microbiome.
Yeah, the microbiome. And, the minute you touch someone, you are commingling.
Yeah, and really, through the microbiome. Again, if you don't know a lot about that, you can do a little Googling it. But it just really reminds us of how much we're connected. We're connected through micro bugs. Can I say that? We're connected through trees, and so it really did spark this whole new awakening. But I'll be honest, don't worry, Christians, I didn't go off the deep end. I was wondering, how does meditation align with prayer, right? And I get asked that a lot. Like, so how is it different than prayer? Again, why would you meditate? And what would you tell people? Why would you meditate?
Well, again, I think the whole reason to meditate is just to quiet the mind. If you've ever gotten something that continuously runs through your mind, you can't stop it. With me, it could be a song, it could be music, it could be an event I saw, or it's just like a loop or a replay of something that you've seen, and you just take the same section and keep looping it over. Then I feel like it's time to quiet the mind and try to get away from that. Or you're worried about something tomorrow. For some people, and you have a meeting with your boss in the morning. How is this meeting going to go?
Yeah.
Are you getting fired, or are you going in to pitch a new idea, or are you
Right.
going in because you might be up for a promotion?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all those feelings that you get that are, I call discombobulated, that meditation will help with. Now with me, I start off with, I usually set an intention. I try to go in with an intention. And the intention is usually based on the day, and we got that from Deepok as well. Different mantras, he calls them. And then it's all about when I become aware of my breathing, that's what starts taking me to that state. It also kind of starts, other ideas start to dissipate, other thoughts that could be kind of mucking up the waters, as they say, as you try to go to a quieter place. So, and then it's all about personal experience. It was a while back when we first started talking about it, where you almost thought you had to force your mind to think a certain way in meditation.
Right.
But at the same time, how are you quieting the mind when you're processing a thought? Are related to if you go to a class and there's instructions and you're listening to the instructions, but they're kind of talking throughout the meditation, right?
Right.
So it's a little
Right.
little disturbing,
Yeah.
a little, distracting. I won't say disturbing, just a little distracting, especially if you meditate a certain way at home. So
Right.
all in all, there is an individual process. There's maybe, my beginning process that I have, and maybe people venture out from there. But how would you say yours, develops?
Yeah, that's a good question. Mine started from that kind of tired and wired place. So I don't know if you guys have been through this where, your kind of brain is going, but you're exhausted, and you just can't find, it's like I go to lay down, but my brain is going, so I really can't rest well. So there. And of course, you hear, about the advice given by many people who may not have the expertise around schizophrenia, that, just tell those guys to get over it. You know what I mean? Just, knock it off or get a hold of themselves, or you'll hear things like that. So I think for us, we were interested in, can I heal my tired and wired? And can our son, can he mind over matter this thing through tools like the voices and some of the agitation or some of that. So really that was kind of what we went into it to do. Once again, life-changing. And for me, I agree that going to that early Deepok work and even Oprah work, there's a lot of talking, you're right. But what they were doing is teaching, right, how to meditate. For you already knew it, so you're probably like, okay, be quiet.
I knew some of it, but no, I was still interested in learning and, took in a lot of knowledge as well.
Yeah, I think it was really helpful. But then we decided, well, let's go there, right? It's one thing to do it online, but it's a whole other thing to be in the room where it happens. You know me, I'm like, I always think if there's a healing or a cure someplace, I want to know it, and I don't want it to be limited to just people that have certain resources and can get there. So again, I wanted to bring you guys back that experience to let you know that if you had the money to go to some of these events, what would that do for you? And if there's a way that can heal our families, we'll for sure bring that to you if we happen to get into those rooms.
Or find something like the Oprah 21-day meditation where you can do it at home. It's free.
Yep.
Right. And they talk you through it. Oprah talks a little bit, and then Deepok comes in and leads you through the meditation.
Yeah.
Gravitating with an intention and slowly taking you into it. And then he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think he partnered with Oprah for a while. Then he partnered with Alicia Keys. She has a really good one.
Too.
So, I definitely think any of us, I don't care who you are, and back to my Christian friends that might think, hey, this is too far, new age for me. For me, what I found in the whole thing was, man, I think Jesus was teaching us to do this too, right? He would go and get into that quiet space often. At least that's what we were taught.
Get away from the noise.
Yeah, that's what we were taught, is that he would go. And I feel like I pray. My prayers are typically gratitude. Like, hey, we weren't guaranteed to get up today, so I try really hard to be grateful in my prayers. But for me, in the quiet is where I receive information. So quiet.
And in that quiet, in that meditation, remember we talked earlier in the podcast about this, but getting in that gap as you study meditation, just study up on what the gap is. And I'll tell you, it's as far as in my meditation activities, in my meditation world, and I don't know about you, but man, it's hard to get to.
Yeah.
But when you're there, you're there.
Yeah,
exactly. It's a different kind of feeling. You're there.
So the gap is, we kind of talked about it in terms of musical, but the gap is a place where you're trying to literally quiet your mind so much that you don't have thoughts, that you're unaware of the sensations around you, you're unaware of noise or the itch on your nose, or you know what I mean, kind of that place in between everything else where it's truly that still space, maybe the eye of the hurricane, or what do you call it musically?
Yeah. Well, when you're in sync with the band and you're just grooving and it's kind of flowing and you're feeling it. That's what we call the groove. So the gap is kind of like being in the groove. The timing is there, the pocket is there. Instruments, vocal are on. I mean, it's the place to be if you're a musician.
Yeah.
All musicians know about that.
Yeah. So so for us, that was really important. So we get to this Deepok Chopra, we go out to California, and we're in his what do you call it? Like a workshop or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was like I said, pretty much 5 days of, meditation. And we got the opportunity. He brought in, doctors of all sorts. Right. Mm-hmm. And talked to us a lot about the different layers of consciousness, which is when we really started to learn about, hey, there's more at play here than just, you're being asleep, you being dead, or you're dreaming, right? That we really do understand already that there's other layers of consciousness. We just don't really understand, how to access them and how not to. So that was pretty, interesting. Would you describe that almost as a veil, like you can see through the other layers of consciousness, or
when you're meditating?
I mean, just out of, in general, right? When they talk about those 7 layers of consciousness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And maybe being in the gap is one. Yeah. That's one.
I think so, because it's getting to the gap, is the hard part. What takes you there? For me, the journey's not always the same, right? I start out similar with an intention and then to my breathing, but from there it's like, and it's as they say, you just got to let it go. You can't force yourself into you can't force your way into the gap.
Right.
The gap has to let right. you in. You can't just force your way there.
Just like you can't force your way into a dream. Okay, I'm going to go into a good dream now.
Exactly. Into a good dream.
I know, right? Nobody wants to go to the nightmare.
Right. It's the layers of getting there.
Yeah. Which is, kind of, again, when you think about these layers of consciousness, I mean, I don't want to get too heady because I'm not Deepok, and geez, if you'd be in the room with him, you'd realize it takes a lot to get in the same headspace with this guy. But but at the end of the day, we already know that when the dog whistle, sounds, that dog can hear it, right? And we can't, right? Anybody doesn't believe in like quantum physics, then explain Wi-Fi, right? And Bluetooth, right? So the reality is we know that there are things that are happening at different layers, and we just don't always have visibility to them. And so really Deepok, a lot of his work is about really just educating us around what does that mean, and then really teaching us that we have the power to move into some of these consciousness and tap into some of those consciousness, not in a wooga wooga way, but just in a healing way, right? That he's in his mind, that most of the illnesses lie in our ability to heal ourselves. So,
and we're not talking about traditional medication. So remember that.
And he was a traditional doctor, so so he knows the difference.
From.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And how much? Go ahead.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to just say, because we were in that room, right, where he brought in all the doctors, and they were asking, they got a chance to ask all the doctors all of these different questions, right? Between, I mean, as far out as past lives, they were talking about that, to, healing.
To where people stood up and said they remembered past lives.
Okay.
Yes, this is where we were.
I was going to say, it did get a little wooga for me too. I'm not judging it, because there are some mediums out there, and there's some healers, and, hey, people see ghosts, all of it. I don't have that experience, but I think the question is, as we think about, our son being able to, or hearing voices. I had an uncle who saw people, and I think there's a real question here. You know what I mean? Is this, how much of this is, their brain playing tricks on them, or how much of that is us not really understanding these other layers of consciousness, right? And so really that was my takeaway. But my biggest takeaway, guys, and I wanted to leave you with this here. My biggest takeaway was in that room, I got to stand up. Yep, I was one of those. I'm always that student that asks questions. And I just asked, I mean, I hear you guys all having this conversation about healing and self-healing. And my question is, what about schizophrenia? Do you have a cure for that? And Sorry, I'm gonna get emotional, but
The room got quiet.
the room, guys, not the room got quiet.
The
If you
stage got
felt this
quiet.
boom almost through the universe, okay, I might be over exaggerating, but I did feel this like
Oh, you can use a boom. Yeah,
it was
we'll call
a
it
boom because I don't think that a lot of people are even asking for that. They don't have the audacity to ask for that. And let me tell you, these amazing, world-renowned, they call them sages, looked at each other and said, "Do you want to take that one? I don't know. Should you?"
Right.
They were like, so Mark Hyman, who is a functional medicine person, he was the first to take that. And he's done all kinds of work on the brain and about holistic healing. He was the first to take it and, describe that we don't really have a solution for that yet, which, that
Yeah,
was,
we know it's not hereditary. It's nothing that a parent did wrong.
yeah.
It's just we don't know the reason for it. yet.
They don't know the reason. And so, and they just acknowledge, I think, from really modern medicine and now even functional medicine, this is stumping them. But I got to leave you with something that Deepok said that was so, so, so beautiful. And I hold it so close to my heart now, is he said, when I think about schizophrenia, I think about the gecko. And, the gecko can see out of 360 has
yeah.
360 vision. And so imagine the gecko's experience here on Earth is so different. Imagine what it would be like. We could see behind our heads, basically.
Everything.
Everything. And he said, and would anybody say that the gecko is wrong? Would anybody judge the gecko for being able to do that? Would anybody even accuse the gecko of being sick or diseased, And he said, no, we wouldn't. And so he said, I'm challenging us to really think about, is there anything wrong with these people?
Yeah.
Actually, after all. But what he did, he said, what we do want to acknowledge is that some of them suffer greatly. And so it'd be nice if we could heal some of that suffering, but yeah.
And it goes back to the veil again, right? Where it's just they see things differently. They see actual object and figures, and they hear these actual manifested voices that we can't hear, but that also coincides with the dog whistle. We can't hear the dog whistle, but we can do a whole other podcast about some of this stuff. Maybe a part 2, because we want to do in one of our upcoming podcasts. We're going to have some immediate family stories, some immediate family. You could have called my family crazy, but we're really getting the material.
Yes, it's my family.
And the reason for the podcast.
Yes,
but
yes, it's my people.
Yeah, I'm in it though. I'm part of it. I've co-mingled. I've got the microbiome, so I am in this.
So you're motivated now too. Yeah,
it motivated me to talk and speak with people. Yeah. So yeah.
So what would you leave people with, right? Like what did we ultimately learn about meditation, and is the answer to the cure for schizophrenia in the gap? Is it
Well, here's what we don't know. Now you can just have your toughest day, your hardest day, and you're not going to meditate it away because it's not like you meditate and you come out the other side of the universe and things are all okay and life is good or better than it was before you went to your meditative state. But it's just a way to quiet the mind when you have those really rough, busy days. And when I say busy, mind activity days. And, you decide how long you want to do it for. You can do it for 5 minutes. People do 10-minute meditations in between, at work on their lunchtime. So you can do 30 minutes. If you feel like you need to do it again, do another 30 minutes later. There is no strict format for how often you can meditate. You do it when you need to do it.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. You'll forget to do it.
Yeah.
And then stuff will just start building up, right? It's like building up a pile of trash, but you never take it out.
Yeah.
And that's what meditation does. It literally takes that trash out, okay? You still got some more coming, but at least you're starting with a clean palette, a clean canister to fill all this information.
So for our tech heads, it'd be like you're clearing your cache.
Clearing your
brain.
Cache,
your brain cache. Okay, got it.
It'll work a lot better.
Yeah. So, no, I don't, again, our journey so far, we haven't found the cure yet, but I do think that we've found some ways, according to, like Deepok was saying, some healing, and our son, we meditate as a family, and we yoga, we meditate. Is there healing in that? Yes, there most certainly is. And does it connect you to the creator of all things? It certainly does, and gives you the strength that you need to endure, whatever you're dealing with here. And you can do that in Jesus' name, or in who's the Allah? Who's the other
creator?
Yeah, what's his? What did you say? It starts with the. Why did the why did the judo folks do it? What's their religion?
Oh, the instructors. Yeah.
Yeah. What is their religion again?
Like Buddhism.
Oh,
so for some, Buddhism. Yeah. So they all lead you back to, they lead you back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is, I think it can be religious, and it doesn't have to be specific to an actual religion, right?
There you go.
Yeah, I agree. So, everybody, I can't wait to see you in the Gap, and I can't wait to see you in the Gap.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right. So, and as we know, everybody does things they do things a little bit different. We all think we have somebody crazy in our family, right?
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
this is how
we're
functioning.